Well, good evening, everyone. I hope everyone had a wonderful weekend. We are going to talk about today. We're going to talk about something I saw on YouTube, that there are certain white people that are self-segregating and creating their own communities. And I guess the main reason I'm talking about this is because it's causing some commotion, and I'm not sure why. It's not like they're trying to tell people what to do. They're not trying to, they're not doing anything illegal. They're not, they're buying their own land, creating a website. They vet the folk that move into the neighborhood, that you got to be of European descent and all this other stuff, which a private neighborhood can do. You have to join a group. Once you're vetted and approved, then they'll allow you to buy lots that they have available. I think this place in Arkansas, it's in Arkansas. I believe that they say it's an hour north of Jonesboro. It's in the middle of the Ozark Mountains. It's they've decided that they want to live in a community where, as they say, they know their neighbors. They are tired of being told that they're a racist, which is a commonplace these days. White folks telling people, being called racist for just being white. That's commonplace now. But that, they want to be around their own kind. Okay. So you have private citizens self-segregating and creating their own communities. What's the problem? There are many black folks that have been wanting to do this for decades. And in fact, I would argue there are many communities in cities existing today where it's happening, in all ethnic communities. But because it's white people, now people think it's racist. How is it racist to self-segregate yourself? You're not bothering nobody. You're not telling people. You're not trying to impose anything on anyone. You have bought land. You are creating a private community where you have to join the group and go and be vetted and all this stuff before you can move there. You don't have to agree with their reasoning to say that I don't have a problem with that. It's not illegal. Let them self-segregate. But because it's white people, now people have problems with it. But if it was a all black community, or an all Asian community, or an all Hispanic community, or an all Muslim community, which was attempting to be created in Texas, and got turned down because they're afraid of. No, I shouldn't say they're afraid. They're not allowing it to happen. And even though I didn't have an issue with this particular Muslim group trying to create their own community in the middle of Texas, that's their business. Texas didn't like it. I think people can do what they want to do as long as they're not doing anything illegal, as long as they're not trying to impose their views on other people. Private property is private property. I'm sure they're going to have plenty of signs. And if you're not part of that group and you trespass on private property, then things are going to happen. So I don't see what the problem is. And I believe there's another group trying to do it in Missouri, I read. So it's a group in Arkansas, and I believe another group in Missouri. And it's their business. They're not racist for what they're doing, because they're not trying to impose anything on anybody else. I could care less how they feel about other people. They're not publicly trying to change people. They're not publicly telling people that they're inferior or anything like that. They're just wanting to live amongst their own kind, and they're buying up land in a private area, in a private community, not bothering nobody. That's their business. You have cults that do that. You have all kinds of religious groups that do that. So what's good for the goose is good for the gander. Why people are having such an issue with it, predominantly black folk that are having an issue with it, is beyond me. I don't understand. It ain't got nothing to do with you. It ain't got nothing to do with you. They're not trying to impose their values or beliefs on you. They just want to live among their own kind and be left alone. They want to be left alone. I ain't got a problem with it. Now, would I move there? No. I believe, and this is the caveat in my opinion to that, is that I believe that because America is a melting pot and has been since its inception, we are a nation of immigrants. We're a melting pot of all kinds of different ethnicities from around the world. We're a melting pot. I'm not in agreement with it, but they're private citizens and they can do what they want. Now, what I will say is that when immigrants do come to this country, they need to embrace American values. We as a country need to do a better job in quote-unquote Americanizing immigrants. We got to do a better job. We have to insist that people that move to this country, legally of course, and want to be citizens, that they embrace the culture that is America. Period. That includes speaking English. That includes, knowing the history and all that stuff. Of course, you have to know that if you're becoming a citizen. But, I think that we need to do a better job as a country. Not only making becoming a citizen easier, or at least less bureaucratic, but we need to do a better job of Americanizing immigrants that come to this country. America has its own unique identity. We're not trying to take on the identity of Europe or Asia or Africa or the Middle East. We're the United States. We are what we are. And we have to embrace that uniqueness that is the United States of America. Obviously, I'm not moving to that community because I have a black wife and I have mixed boys. So obviously, we would not be welcome in that community. And that's fine. I don't want to live in the middle of the Ozarks. I don't. And so, but I have no grudge or any issues with them living in the middle of the Ozarks. It's the South, so it's humid, mosquitoes, insects, the whole 9 yards. That's fine. That's what they chose. They're starting from scratch, building their own homes or buying trailers and putting it on their land. The roads are dirt and all that stuff, and I'm sure it'll evolve as time goes on if they last. And that's fine. That's their choice as free citizens. They can do what they want. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. What difference are this group in Arkansas and then this other group in Missouri? What humongous difference is there between them and the Native Americans? Instead of integrating into American society, they have decided they want to keep their distinct society and have chosen self-segregation over integration. And I know there's a whole thing behind that, and I'm sure, and the government is at fault for some of it too. But I'm using that example because Native Americans, especially the few successful ones, the Seminole being the biggest of the biggest successful one of the bunch, have decided to self-segregate. They have their own communities. They have created their own wealth. They have created their own systems. They have done all that. You can't be a part of the community unless you meet a certain percentage of blood, or, as far as being a certain percentage of that particular tribe. So what's the difference between them and then these white groups that are self-segregating and buying their own land? What's the difference? There is no difference. And the only real difference is that the government's not involved with these groups in Arkansas and Missouri. Instead of the government allowing, and this is off topic a little bit, instead of the government doing the right thing and honoring the treaties, or fully integrating the Native Americans in United States culture, like we do immigrants, a lot of these native tribes have decided to self-segregate with government assistance and live in their own communities where others cannot live. I, as a white person, couldn't live there. My wife, as a black person, couldn't live there. Hispanics can't live there. You have to be proven to be a certain percentage of that particular tribe to live on that particular land. And we won't get into how the government screwed over Native Americans and all that, because they did. The government screwed over Native Americans. They messed that whole thing up, and it's an unfortunate blot on our American history. A very big one, in my opinion. But there is no real difference between them and these white groups. They're self-segregating. And you can only be a certain whatever to join the community. So in these white communities, you have to be of European descent. You have to prove that you're of European descent. And I'm assuming you can't be mixed with anything. So I'm not welcome because I married a black woman and I have mixed kids. I have mixed sons. So obviously I'm not welcome, even though I am of European descent and I'm not mixed with anything. I have no aspirations of living in a community like that. None. Again, because I don't agree with their ideals. I agree with them having the right to self-segregate and to live the way they want to live. And I understand some of their frustration with current culture and media and all these radical left ideas and all this other stuff. I understand. But we have to be able to work through our issues and problems if we're going to be successful as a nation. We have to be able to work through our problems. And if we can't work through our problems and we just run away from our problems, then we're never going to solve our problems. But again, that's their choice. That's fine. The difference between them, these two groups, and the KKK or maybe other separatist groups is they're not trying to change anybody's opinions. They're not trying to push their ideology on anybody else. From what I saw on the documentary that was done about them, they just want to be to themselves. Again, they could be totally different than what they advertise. Who knows? I can only go by the documentary that was done on this particular group in Arkansas. And that's their choice. Let them self-segregate. How does that make them racist? It doesn't. Because there are plenty of black communities that propose the exact same thing and no one says nothing to them. There are Muslim communities that feel that way. Heck, if you really want to get into the weeds, there are cities all over the United States that are essentially segregated communities. essentially segregated. Whether on purpose or, by whatever, they're segregated. It's just the way it is. People go around people that they feel comfortable with and that they can identify with. That's just the way people are. That's just the way people are. And that's just, human nature. People are going to be around people that they're comfortable with, whether that's along ethnic lines, whether that's along, social lines, whatever it might be. People are going to align themselves and hang out with people that they're comfortable with. If that means they're only comfortable around people that look like them, then so be it. If that means that they only hang around people that are in their same socioeconomic class, so be it. We don't talk about them. It only becomes a problem when white people do stuff. Then all of a sudden it's either racist or people have issues with it. They're not doing anything wrong and anything illegal. They are choosing to live that lifestyle out in the middle of the Ozarks. They're not bothering nobody. So what's the problem? What's the problem? And again, I don't have to agree with it, because America is a melting pot. We're a nation of immigrants. We all came from somewhere other than this continent. Our ancestors did not come from this continent for the most part, with the exception of the Native Americans. This was their land. Europeans came and took the land by conquest, which has happened on every continent all over the world. And now we're a nation of not only of the Native Americans, but of immigrants. We all came from somewhere. My family came from England and Ireland, mainly, and Germany. So, that's just the way it is. The history of the United States is not all good. There's bad history of it in it too. But we have to come to a what's the word I'm looking for? We have to come to a point in our nation where we just have to accept the good and the bad, and we have to learn that what happened. We can't take it back. We can't do it over again. All we can do is just move towards the future, move towards a better future. That's all we can do. And regardless of your skin color, and regardless of your ethnic background, because race is a human construct, I believe that to this day, race was created as a human construct to divide people. That's all race is. We like to use the word race, but in reality, there's no such thing as race other than the human race. Yes, there are other ethnic groups, but race, no. Race was created to divide people. So yes, we are a nation of different ethnic groups, hundreds of them. And somehow we're able to come together and function as a nation. We're not as, we're not like one ethnic group like in the Nordic countries, where Swedes, it's literally 90% Swedes, Norwegians, Danish, Finns. They're very homogenous when it comes to ethnicity. Very, very little, very, very few ethnic groups outside the main one. They're very homogenous in the Nordic countries. People aren't trying to move to where it's cold. differences like that. Okay, we're a humongous melting pot, and we all got to learn to get along, and we all got to put our differences aside, and we all got to try to look at people as people, and stop prejudging people. People are prejudging these groups in Arkansas and Missouri because they think is wrong. They think it's wrong. But in reality, it's not wrong. It's just not for you. It's just not something you want to do. And that's okay. You ain't got to move to that community. You ain't got to deal with them people unless you plan on driving in the middle of nowhere in the Ozarks to go see them. It's okay. You don't have to agree with them to agree that they have the right to do that they're not hurting anybody in doing it. That self-segregating is what they have chosen to do. It's really simple. It's really simple. And if it were another group, as long as they ain't bothering nobody, then let them do their thing. You ain't got to agree with it. And if they want to create their own community outside of normal cities and towns, then so be it. As long as they're not trying to push their thing, their ideals or anything on other people or other surrounding communities that they may live near, then ain't nobody going to bother them. They ain't bothering nobody. Let them do their thing. They visit you in their town, they may be cordial, and that's fine. They just don't want to be around you if you're a different ethnic group. That's their choice. You don't have to agree with it. That's their choice. That doesn't make them racist. That does not make them racist. They have just chosen a different lifestyle, and they choose to be around other people that look like them. Black folk do it all the time, but we don't say nothing to them. We don't have to say absolutely nothing to them. But when white people do it, then all of a sudden it's racist, which is the absolute hypocrisy that we live in now. Black people keep talking about we need our own communities, our own businesses, our own this, that, and the other. But when then white people do it, then all of a sudden it's racist. Get out of here. You're a hypocrite. Anybody that says that is a hypocrite. You're a hypocrite. If you, as a private citizen, want to self-segregate and bring some friends along with you that believe the same thing you do, and just want to live in a community where y'all look the same, and you don't want to deal with the other ethnic groups, that's your business. That's your business. Now it becomes a problem when you do it in large cities and then you're trying to impose your view on other people. That's not going to fly, because everybody from all walks of life have to be able to live in the same communities. That's not going to fly in towns and cities. That's why they're moving to their own community. They have the right. They have freedom of expression. Freedom to choose where they want to live. As far as I know, they bought the land legally, fair and square. I think they bought 600 acres or 60 acres, something like that. I can't remember the number. And probably 600. And they're selling those plots to vetted new community members that feel the same way that the founders of this community feel. They're tired of this, that, and the other. And they want to preserve, as they say, white American culture or European white American culture. That's fine. If that's what they want to do, then let them have it. As long as they're not trying to press and impose their ideals on me, I ain't got no problems with it. None. I ain't got no problems with them. Let them do what they do. It's no different than these cults and other religious groups that do the same thing and build their all of a sudden it's an issue and a problem. No. Y'all hypocrites. You get out of here. Y'all hypocrites. So, yeah, I thought I'd touch this subject. I thought it was like, okay, that's wild. The reactions I'm seeing. That's wild. Let them do what they want. Let them do what they want. And in reality, they're doing it the right way. They're like, you know what? I only want to be around these certain types of people. We're going to create a community where we vet people, and we know everybody that's going to be living around us is the same looks and things just like we do. That's fine. Do your thing. Handle your business. As long as they continue to be law-abiding United States citizens, do what you want. Do what you want. They homeschool their kids, which I think is a great idea. Homeschooling is definitely the way to go. As long as they abide by United States laws, I don't have a problem with them. I ain't got no issues with them. And no issues with anybody else that decides they want to do that. I ain't got to agree with them. I ain't got to like them. But what they're doing is not illegal. So what are you going to say? It's not illegal. You ain't got to like it. You ain't got to agree with it. It is what it is. So, not my cup of tea, but obviously it's other people's cup of tea, and that's okay. That's their choice. That's their choice. They feel that doing this is going to preserve their European white heritage, then so be it. Obviously, that was a humongous factor for me since I married a black woman. I just married I married what I like. And, for soon to be 29 years, it's been great. So, but that doesn't take away from my European heritage. I went deep into my family history and my genealogy for the last probably decade, just so that my boys would understand their heritage. Just so my boys would understand their heritage. And so, I ain't got no issue with that group in Arkansas or that group I read in Missouri that's doing the same thing. Go do what you do. You're not hurting nobody. Go self-segregate yourself. That's fine. Handle your business. Again, I think we're better together, and I think that this country is better being able to get along with everyone, and if we solve problems together, we'll be a better country for it. But I understand some people don't want to do that, or don't think that option's going to work. So they've taken it upon themselves to self-segregate and try to preserve a culture that they feel is more important than anything else, and that's fine. That's perfectly fine. That is perfectly fine. Perfectly fine. Perfectly fine. So, it's all good. So, yep. So, I just thought I'd talk about that. And if you got any comments about it, leave them down below. Please like this video. It'll definitely help me with the algorithm. I got a lot of people viewing it these days, but not anybody liking it. Maybe you don't like it, and that's fine. But if you do, please make sure that you hit that thumbs up button. That would help me out a lot. Subscribe if you like the videos. Hit that notification bell and share it with somebody if you think it's informative or entertaining, whatever. Again, I appreciate each and every one of you that takes the time out to watch my videos. I really do appreciate it. I use this, again, as I stated, as a place to just be able to talk and vent and express my opinion and my life experiences. And this video is no different. So, again, I appreciate each and every one of you. And again, if you have any insight or comments about this particular subject today, then by all means, please leave it down below. As always, be respectful. I don't care if you agree with me or not, but be respectful